how do you want to have a polygamous relationship when you can't even afford me? You can't even afford me. No offense.
Oh girl, you got me going psycho. Oh, I know.
Hi there, my name is Kanisha, and welcome to the Hot Mommy Podcast, where we talk about the things that women go through and mothers go through on a day-to-day basis. Today, we're going to get into the whole idea of gender norms, and now this applies to both mothers and just women in general. One thing that I've noticed is that there's been a shift in what we believe to be the norm on gender roles. It feels as though sometimes, for me at least, that a woman is expected to do so much, and where does the man come in? And now I'm all about, equality, but if we're gonna do the whole idea that a woman should be the one who is in charge of cooking and cleaning and rubbing your back and being sexually available to you and taking care of the kids, then I feel like we should go back to the full idea of men taking out the trash, men building homes, men fully taking care of women, not just paying the rent. You live here, duh, you should pay the rent. If not half, then all. But especially if that woman is someone who is 100% taking care of you and your needs. And I don't mean the idea of bringing others into your situation that does not consider itself a part of your needs. That's an extra. Bringing in other women for threesomes is not, please guys, it's not a part of your needs. And if that woman's not doing that, you probably knew from the beginning she wasn't going to do that. So I need us to go ahead and leave that whole topic alone. Okay? What I am going to get into is the fact that today's modern day woman is like the breadwinner. We are working full-time jobs. We are in our full career paths. A lot of us have our degrees. A lot of us have own businesses, our own cars, our own homes, and that is including women with kids. It doesn't stop there just because you have a kid. Women are heavy travelers these days. We are very accomplished. It's one thing I've noticed. I'm not gonna down men and say that they aren't in those places. There are definitely men who have graduated, who do travel, who do have their own, who are in a great space. It's just that the quality of man like that is very limited. The ones who are like that can get a little mixy. Sometimes they're in a space where they don't even want to have a family. They just want to keep enjoying life. So what I've noticed, and that's okay too. But back to the topic. What I've noticed is that there's a lot of social media takeover these days where it tells us that we should be, as women, silent. The first thing you hear from a man when you meet him is like, you're like, oh, like, what are you looking for out of women? They say peace. And I'm just like, okay, like, I think that's kind of bare minimum. But when they say peace, their idea of peace sometimes means you shutting up. You know what I mean? You being submissive, and there is a way to be submissive without being someone's slave. I think that's the confusion right there. You can be submissive without being someone's slave. And when I say this, I say is to say is that a man needs to understand that just because a woman is submissive doesn't mean that she has to agree with everything you said. Doesn't mean that she has to do everything that you tell her to do. This is 2026, and going forward, I hope that we can understand that that's not how this works in this world. That if you want an independent woman, you have to understand that she comes with a mind and a brain of her own. But the problem is that men don't want that for women. They want them to hush. They want them to be obedient, is one of the words that I've heard used over the past few years now from men. And they want their woman to be submissive. And with being submissive, they just want them to agree to whatever nonsense they have going on. And that is not ideal. You know what I mean? A woman is not just built to stay in her place. That's the problem that you guys have with the gender roles. Like, if a woman speaks up for herself, you guys take her as, argumentative and, angry and things like that. And then you guys have that idea where you're like, I'm going to step out because I hate it at home. I hate it at home. I hate my girl. And instead of you guys really just moving forward like you should do, you just go out and cheat, which that in itself, you guys have the mindset where you're saying, oh, all men cheat, find one that's gonna like make you happy or whatever the case might be. I do not believe that I have to be with a man who's gonna cheat on me. If that's the case, I will be single. I promise you guys, I'll be single. So women, please get it together. Understand that you don't have to deal with that. Now, back to gender roles. Gender roles, if you feel like a woman should be cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids and you should have to touch nothing at all but that rent, you've lost your mind. There are so much more bills in this world that you don't even know about, that half of you guys are not even covering. So even though you're going to work and you're paying for the rent, you forget that that girl has her own car when you met her. You forget that girl had her own credit cards when you met her. You forget that girl likes to travel. You forget that girl likes to go out to eat. You forget that the baby needs things. You focus on the rent, and that's your portion. If that's the case, let's switch. Let's switch. How about I just cover the rent, because 100% I can cover the rent twice. And you focus on taking care of the kid. That means washing, bathing, cleaning the house, cleaning the dishes, cleaning the laundry, cleaning as a whole, and sometimes taking out the trash if you don't get to it fast enough. You focus on doing all that, cooking dinner, making sure that I'm sexually pleased, and everything on top of that, and I'll just focus on paying the rent, since that's such a big thing for men nowadays. I pay the rent. If you're with that woman seriously, you should be paying the rent, and if not all, then half. Now let's get into the 50-50 thing. If you are on a 50-50 basis with that woman, it's not to say that you can't really expect much from her, but understand that she's gonna have her own motion. If that girl says to pay for 50% of everything, she's gonna have her own motion. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, she still has stuff that she wants to do, and if you can't do that for her, or whatever, like, because I feel like a man's supposed to be a provider, then she's definitely gonna go out and find someone who can. There's nothing wrong with that either. If you know you're not a provider, you should really state that in the beginning. I really wish that men would really just come out and say, like, hey, honestly, I know what you said you're looking for, but I can't give that to you. But I do want to talk to you still, so if you're interested in doing that, just let me know and we'll go from there. Because I feel like that's pure honesty. I feel like a lot of men get into relationships and they lie about what they're there for. They give you the general guide. Oh yeah, I'm just looking for peace. I'm looking for a calm woman, but she got to be a baddie, but she can't have anyone looking at her, and she can't act like a baddie either. But I feel like you men be confused on what you're looking for. If you get a baddie, know what comes with a baddie. Okay, know what comes with a baddie. What comes with a baddie? Likes on Instagram, follows on Instagram, all of that stuff comes with the baddie. Needing to take her out regularly, making sure she's maintained, because I feel like a woman is a reflection of you. I feel like men forget that. Like, your woman is a reflection of you. So if your woman looks beat down, her nails is not done, her hair is not done half the time, she looks super tired, your kids look a mess, your home looks a mess, like, you're not pouring into that woman either mentally or physically, financially. So either of the three, you're not pouring into her. And for that reason, you really got to check yourself. I do feel like a man who can hold it down, like, financially, majority, can really get anything from me personally, and most women, because you're really releasing a burden off of her at that point. And I'm understanding that people like to say that that's gold digging. If that's gold digging, call me a gold digger, because I do not care. If we're gonna stick to the gender norms that I should be doing all this stuff, then I'm gonna stick to the gender norms that you should be taking care of me. I shouldn't have to do anything. I had a situation, in my past situations, where I had to argue back and forth, like, how do you want to have a polygamous relationship when you can't even afford me? You can't even afford me. No offense, but don't look at these people who have money and say, oh, men do it all the time, and they have multiple women and blah 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 blah. Don't do all that if you can't afford all the women. Like, you need to stay in the tax bracket you're in. The tax bracket you're in said you barely can afford the one girl you do got. Never mind 2, 3, 4 side chicks. There's no room for her. Just understand your budget. You gotta stick in your budget. If you can't afford to go to Eddie V's, then you better go to Cheesecake. You better take her to Cheesecakes. And that's the same thing with women. If you can't afford that one woman's whole luxury life, then don't think you could bring in another woman, because the first one you had is not even happy. So you're just gonna have a bunch of unhappy women with you. And if that's your goal and you don't care and you're just looking to suck the soul out of women, completely understand where you're going with this. Ignore what I'm saying. But if you are there to actually, like, have a successful, I guess, polygamous relationship, you have to understand that comes with a requirement of fully taking care of all of those women. That comes with giving all of those women your attention and not, you know, some here, some there. It's equal. They understand there's a program, and that's why those situations work out. But half of you men, like, you're missing the plot. The plot is not giving, go get another woman because this one's unhappy that I'm not doing for her, just to not do for the other one, or pretend, you know, love bomb the next one and act like you got it like that, and then like maybe a month down the line you don't got it still. So yeah, I think we really need to address the elephant in the room. There's been a shift, and I do think that it came from social media, where, you know, people can just go online and say whatever they want, and we have to just, you know, go along with it because, you know, and honestly, we're not going along with it because I feel like we're arguing back on both sides, men and women. It's just built an unrealistic idea of relationships and you know, partnership within people, and that's why people keep splitting up. There's been tons of conversation about specifically female, you know, moguls right now who are dealing with breakups, divorces, you know, embarrassment. I would say Cardi B is one of the biggest ones right now that we talk about. Love my girl down. Can't wait to go to her concert, but she's one of the biggest ones that we keep going back and forth on about, oh, and Cardi B so stupid, and she left Offset, and when she was with Offset, y'all were calling her stupid. So I'm a little bit confused as to how we're gonna call her stupid for leaving that man. But as far as her getting with, you know, Stefan Diggs, she was just having fun. Now something came out of that, and I don't know what you guys want that girl to do. Like, did you guys want her to get rid of the baby so you can complain about her, you know, sending her kids to the graveyard? Like, you guys do this stuff all the time where you just judge women. Another, you know, set of people that are into something right now, I don't know if you guys know Christy and Desmond. I love them so bad. I love them so bad, and it hurt me because I'm just like, I'm gonna miss the family aspect of the whole thing. And at first I was very much against how it came out, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, it's just feeling like men hate women. And I do feel like that sometimes, because if you're in a, you know, relationship with a woman, like, why are you out cheating on her when you can just leave? Now in his situation, he did express that he did want to leave that situation, so I completely understand how that went. And, you know, I'm not fully in their stuff, so I want to back out of that. But I really wish that we would have, you know, just a little bit more respect for each other in these relationships that we get into. Obviously, you know, my mindset of feeling like maybe men don't like women, and because it's really just because I feel like if you love a woman, you don't want to hurt them. You're going to always do everything in your power to protect them, even if that is putting your pride aside, putting your needs aside. And if you do the right thing, like Desmond, you know, did with Christy, you have the right to move forward, you know what I mean, however you so please, even if we don't feel happy about that situation because of how public it was and how soon it was. We don't know their situation and how long they were arguing or, you know, unhappy in that situation. So I want to say, you know, I hope that that family situation gets better. I hope that they find peace, and I hope that they can solve that, seeing as they have kids together and they have a whole life, business, and everything together. I hope that they can resolve that. I just wish that we would stop blaming females for male actions. One thing I did notice, you know, with that situation is that it started off, you know, Desmond did something wrong, and somehow it immediately switched to Christy did something wrong. Christy literally fought for that relationship in whichever way, you know what I mean? And she obviously didn't want it to end because he expressed wanting to leave, and it didn't fully end until she put in a divorce after he cheated. So she's fighting for this family that she has. And I feel like she got a lot of backlash for that. People saying that she must have been annoying, and she's always loud and obnoxious, and he's more calm, and all of her flips and things like that are the reason that he left. Like, no, that man loved everything about her in the beginning. They clearly just grew apart, but I just really wish that we would stop bashing women because men are doing something to them. Even down to being a single mom, I feel like people use that as an insult nowadays. Like, oh, you're a single mother, and that's why you're a single mother, and, you know, your response is like, okay, like, I'm a single mom, but I'm a single mom because I either left for better. You know, you don't know if someone's in a needy situation or anything like that. So I really feel like you have to be mindful to the fact that, you don't know anyone's situation, and you shouldn't be judging moms because they're choosing to raise their children. You should be commending them and giving them their praise for continuing. Because at the end of the day, the mom technically does not have to stay. It's a choice as well. All of this is a choice. I just want us to understand, where we are in this world is that, for one, everyone truly needs to mind their own business and understand you don't know everyone's situation. But also, we need to just have a little bit more compassion for everybody in these situations, especially women on women arguments and, dare I say, pick me activity. I don't like that. We got to get past that pick me activity, because just because you get with a man, and remember this statement: how you get him is how you lose it. Do not get with a man who does not take care of their kids and think that he's going to take care of you or treat you any better. Do not get with a man who's not right to their mom, their parents, their family, and think that he's going to treat you. Understand that you can be put right where they were. This week's episode was definitely a little short, but I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I do have some more stuff coming up, but I want it to be perfect when I do it, when I bring my guest on. You guys are going to love it. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I know that you guys are going to love it because it's going to give a little bit more insight onto how I came into the world of being a mom. And I know a lot of people want to know what that process is like. So if you're interested in learning the steps of being a mom and how you can be successful in that no matter what, and get a little bit of tips so you can get ahead, definitely tune into the next episode. Thank you for tuning into the Hot Mommy Podcast, and we'll see you next time.